Have you ever asked yourself, how do I explain being a highly sensitive person to the non-highly sensitive people in my life? Well, today I'll be sharing with you my 4 steps to explaining this trait to others. The first step is share the facts. Share the fact that 15 to 20% of the population is highly sensitive, and that this simply means that we are placed at the far end of the sensitivity spectrum. Explain that this is not a diagnosis or a mental health condition or a disability, and it is simply a personality trait that takes up a small part of the population. Explain that we have something that's called a sensory processing sensitivity, which means that we are very sensitive to the physical, emotional, and spiritual stimuli, and that we take all of these things really deeply compared to non-HSPs. So the physical, including the noises, the lights, the smells, that all of our physical senses are on a lot more high alert compared to non-HSPs. Or the emotional stimuli, including the feelings and moods of other people, that we take them on a lot more deeply than other people. So share those important facts about being a highly sensitive person. The second step is share some examples. So bring this into 3 dimensions for them so that they can understand what it looks like. Here are some examples based on my experience that you might be able to relate to. So you could say something like this. You know how when I walk into crowded environments sometimes that I go really quiet all of a sudden? That's because of my sensory processing sensitivity, because I am taking on all of these things in my environment so deeply, including the physical things like the noises and the lights, and also all of the emotional, like the feelings I can pick up from other people. All of these things can really overstimulate me very easily, and that's why I go silent sometimes. Or you can say, you know how when we go to parties sometimes I have to leave a little bit early, or that I feel a little bit overwhelmed sometimes and I need a lot of time to myself. That's because I get very overstimulated because of my sensory processing sensitivity, which sometimes means that I need a lot more time to recover compared to non-HSPs. So that's the second important step, to share some examples with them so that they can begin to understand it in a little bit more detail. And the third thing is share the positive aspects of it. It helps people understand that there are actually things that they appreciate about you, which is because of your sensitivity. So that could be things like your creativity, or things like your deep sense of empathy. And you can say things like, well, I connect very deeply to people, and that's because of my high sensitivity. And the fourth and final step is don't expect others to understand or validate you for your sensitivity. Don't go into it in trying to explain it to them so that you can receive validation from them. It's important to validate and accept yourself first, without that expectation. Sharing this information with people is purely to raise awareness. Do not allow it to be for the reason of expecting any form of validation, or because you are not accepting a part of who you are. And I'll share a part of my story with this, because when I found out that I was a highly sensitive person, I felt so enlightened. It brought together all of the pieces of this puzzle that I'd been missing for so long. And it made me want to explain it to others because it made me so excited. But what I didn't realize was that my reason for wanting to explain it to others is to give them a reason for saying, you know, this is why I've been like this all this time. And I was expecting this sort of sense of understanding surrounding it. And that's not always what I received, unfortunately. Some people took it personally and took it in a way as if I was saying that they were not sensitive and that I was. And others just simply thought that it was something that I just needed to work on, that it was not a normal thing and that it needed to be fixed in some way. And of course that led me to being really frustrated and put me down a lot. So this is why I really do not advise going into it with any form of expectation. And this is what makes it so important to do the self-work surrounding your self-validation and self-acceptance before you kind of try and share it for any of these reasons with other people, unless it is purely for raising awareness. So if you are someone that's at the point of your life where you're trying to explain it to others and they're not really understanding and you're not receiving that sense of validation that you are expecting, then please reach out to me and book your discovery call. It's totally free, and it's a 45-minute call that you can book via the link in my bio. So if that's you, please do give me a call and we can chat about it. And other than that, I would love to hear your comments on your experiences, so just drop them below and share your experiences with me. I'm always happy to hear from you. Take care, guys, and see you very soon.